The Blazers went to Salt Lake City. The Blazers gave us extra basketball. The Blazers took the L, and in doing so, they might have taken the dub. We'll tell you what that means here because this is the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation with me tonight, 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. And of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and get in on the chat with me there. Now, I said they took the L, but they might have taken the dub because the loss actually is a good thing today. It separates them just a little bit from Phoenix. Now they have a half-game lead over the Suns. Suns with 3 games left to play, and those two are vying for that 9 spot. And let me tell you what, since Portland won that game against San Antonio and basically created that gap between 8 and 9 that is going to be hard to come back from, they really want that 9 spot because things get a little hairy as you move out of that. I mean, right now, if the season ended tonight, the Blazers would have a 4.5% chance of the number 1 overall pick and a 20% chance of getting in to the top 4. As for Phoenix, that pick would go to Houston, but that is the 10 spot. And the 10 spot, that 4.5% chance falls to 3%. That 20% chance falls to 14% of getting into the top 4. So that's a pretty drastic difference. Portland wants to hold on to that as much as they can. So the loss tonight is helpful. The Blazers did not really try to lose this game until maybe overtime. They had a chance. They drew up a wonderful play late. They would have won the game, but Toumani Camara missed the shot. And, I mean, come on. You don't make every shot. That's just how it is. He had a great opportunity. It would have been awesome for him to hit a game winner. Just wasn't meant to be. Then overtime came, and at that point, the Blazers kind of had waved the white flag on it because no Toumani Camara, no Shaedon Sharpe. Their 2 best players on the night, 2 best scorers, took them out, ran with the young guys, and Utah was able to grab the victory. Final score in Salt Lake City, Utah 133, your Trailblazers 126. Now, Portland led 28-24 after the first quarter. Their largest lead was 8 at 26-18. Shaedon Sharpe, 15 of the team's 28 points that tied for the most in a single quarter in his career. In the second half, the Jazz outscored the Blazers 31-24, and they would take the 55-52 lead into the locker room. Shaedon Sharpe, 18.6 boards. Toumani Camara, 9 points, 4 rebounds at halftime. In the third quarter, Portland jumped back on. They outscored Utah 33-25. It looks like things were good, but then Utah outscored the Blazers 34-29 in the fourth. Final possession for the Utah Jazz, a beautiful little pick, get the run around the pick, wide open lane. Kyle Filipkowski goes in, gets the easy jam with 2.8 seconds left. Blazers draw up a play for Toumani Camara. He does not make the shot. They go to overtime where Keontae George catches fire, hits a couple threes, and again, no Shaedon Sharpe, no Toumani Camara, and that was kind of what did them in overtime as they're outscored 19-12, and the Utah Jazz grabbed the 133-126 victory. Now, this was a weird game for Utah, right? We talked about this going into the night, how, 9 players were out. No Lauri Markkanen, no John Collins, right? Like, you start going down the list, you're like, who do they have? Well, they had Bryce Sensabaugh. He had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 14 points from Johnny Juzang, which was hilarious because if you, I was flipping back and forth between the radio and the TV feed because you had to hear what Evan Turner was saying. And at one point he was like, Johnny Juzang, that sounds like a shooter. Like, Juzang just sounds like a guy who can get buckets. And it was kind of funny. Kyle Filipkowski, 30 points, 18 boards, 5 assists, 2 block shots, and 3 steals. An incredible game from him. Keontae George, 18 points. None more important than those 6 that he scored there in overtime. He had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 15 points from Colin Sexton. Oscar Tshiebwe. I'm just playing. I can't pronounce that game. Swibwe, 17 points. Everyone has a name. Aurora? Ow now Brown Cow. 17 points, though, for Oscar. Now, on the Blazers side of things, Matisse Thybulle, 12 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 16 points from Toumani Camara. Again, didn't play in overtime. He was 6 of 18 from the floor. 10 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 personal fouls for Donovan Clingan. None. He didn't get that sixth foul till overtime, though, so that's okay. 37 points for Shaden Sharp, career high. Beautiful night from him. He was 13 of 23 from the floor, 6 of 12 from the on the arc. He also had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. 11 points for Delano Banton, 4 assists as well. 19 points for Ryan Rupert. Great performance from him in the 34 minutes he played. Jabari Walker chipped in 15. So you look at the lineup there, every single player except Chris Murray, who had 6, and Justin Minaya, who only played 6 minutes and scored 0 points. Every other player in double figures. So pretty good performance from the young Trailblazers. Probably could have won this game had you kept Sharp and Tumani in overtime. But as I said, the loss is actually okay, I think. I mean, now down the stretch, you kind of needed these when you're at once you were out of the play and it didn't matter as much. I don't have to like it. I'm just not going to beat the dead horse that I don't like sitting out, taking those stars out at the end of the game. If you're going to do that, just don't play them, right? But I don't like what happened there with the overtime and sitting Shaden Sharp, sitting Tumani Kamara. But I understand it. Again, as Macho Man says, you don't have to like it, but respect it. And I understand what they're doing there. Does make sense because again, the way they're fully entrenched in the lottery now. Like I'm always for team win, win, win. Again, got to get into the play and do what you need to do. But now that you're officially out, man, it makes sense. Again, don't have to like it, but I understand why they did that. 2 games left against 2 teams that are going to put their full complement out there because playoff seeding is still very, very tight in the Western Conference. So it's going to be an interesting finish there at Moda Center. But again, that's what happens. They get the loss, which helps them in the lottery with 2 games remaining on the schedule. And all in all, I think it was an all right game. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And of course, you go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, where Sean chimes in. I really hope Sharp can stay healthy, he says, and continue his great play into the beginning of next season. He has a few good years of ending this year playing really well. Now, here's the thing. I said a few weeks ago that what I wanted to see over the last 10 or so games was I wanted to see Shaden Sharp separate himself. I wanted him to kind of announce that, hey, I'm here and I can be a star because I think we've all seen it, right? I think we've all seen star potential in this guy, the ability to go out there and score in bunches and the athleticism. I've likened him to a young Tracy McGrady because he reminds me a lot of Tracy McGrady when he was in Toronto, right? And over the last, dozen or so games, here he is, the last, 14, 13 games here. He's averaging pretty good numbers. Like he's averaging pretty good numbers when you look at it. He's averaging 22 points per game. He's averaging 6.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.2 steals, right? Pretty good stuff from Shaden Sharp. I wouldn't mind him getting to the free throw line more, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about that. The 3-point numbers are actually not great, but that's okay. I'll take what he's doing. I mean, you look at the numbers over here. You look at like the road trip they took, basically starting from the big long East Coast trip. He's got 21, 17, 16, 17, 23, 23, 18, 22, 23, 33, 36, 17, 21. And then that does not include tonight's 37-point performance. So I feel like he's starting to do it. I feel like he's starting to announce himself as we said we wanted him to do. So far this season, he has this is his 6th game of 30 or more points. And 3 of them have come in the last week and a half. It's a pretty good performance from Shaden Sharp. So I'm with you, Sean. Hope he continues to grow and show the type of player he can be. And he asked Sean Osgas, will Sharp get a triple-double next year? I mean, I feel like he likes to flirt with it, doesn't he? He's shown that he can be a good rebounder. The assist numbers, I think, have been really impressive this year, especially it feels like late in the year. I hope I'm not making that up, but it just feels like the assist numbers have started to be very consistent as of late. And again, you look at the points of the last 3 games, 5, 5, 6, right? And then tonight he goes out and he throws a couple more up there. Again, another 5 assist game. So averaging just over 5 over the last week or so. So again, I think it's in there. I would love to see a triple double out of him. Maybe him and Denny can just keep battling for who gets more at the end of the year because those two do know how to fill up that stat sheet. But again, it's just so nice to see him playing like that, playing with a little bit of that confidence, asserting himself as a go-to scorer for this team. So I think this is what we've all wanted to see. And I think you're starting to not just get the glimpse, you're starting to get the consistency of it. So I would hope that with 2 games left, he doesn't falter. He just continues to do this and have these big games. This is the fifth quarter, your post game show here, breaking down the Blazers and the Utah Jazz as Portland went into Utah, their final road game of the season, and lost to the Jazz 133 to 126. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. And of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat there as well. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, it's time for our drive of the night and our shot of the night. We're going to continue to break down what happened here in Utah, take a look around the league as well to see how some scores played out, because there's still a lot to play for, not only in lottery standings, but playoff standings as well. So we'll take a look when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
It's time for the fifth quarter shot of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Blazers down 2 as Sharp brings it up, sitting on 29 points. Screen comes from both directions. He chooses his own adventure to the left and launches a three and buries it. 32 for Shaedon Sharp. That is the 7th time in Shaedon's career that he has scored 30 or more. The 6th time this season.
It's time for the fifth quarter drive of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Here's Thybulle off the drive, hammers it down in the face of Micah Potter. Matisse Thybulle, where did that come from? I don't know that I've ever seen Matisse Thybulle do anything half as strong as he did right there. We know he's capable of it, but he dug down deep to elevate and put Micah Potter on a poster.
Welcome back into the fifth quarter. What an impressive jam by Matisse Thybulle. Definitely threw that one down with some ferocity. And the highlight, too, you see Jabari Walker just starts stomping the ground with excitement, which is pretty funny. I guess he's going back to the bench. It's hard to describe, but it was pretty funny. Team got pretty excited to see that one. Welcome back in, though. The Blazers going down to Utah tonight, and they drop one to the Jazz, 133-126. And, of course, there's still lots going on. I mean, this game gives them a half-game lead over Phoenix for that 9 spot in the NBA draft lottery. That Phoenix pick does end up going to Houston, though, so we'll continue to watch that. But there's a lot going on in the NBA tonight. First off, how about Luka Doncic? Luka Doncic makes his return to Dallas tonight. They give him a big video intro, as you would kind of expect to see, but he broke down. Like, he was tearing up during the intro, and it just kind of sucks, man, because you obviously know he didn't want to leave Dallas. He loved that city. He loved that franchise, loved the fans. He didn't want to leave. It caught everybody off guard, him included. He's a Laker now, and he enjoys that. Doesn't mean that he hates being a Laker, but man, he had something that was precious to him ripped away, and you could tell when he saw that video highlight and the pouring of support from the fans there that city means a lot to him, man. And it just sucks that had to happen the way it did. But he goes in there into Dallas, drops 45, 8, and 6 against his former team so that the Lakers pick up the 112-97 victory. In doing so, grabs a half-game advantage there for the Lakers in that third spot. They're now a game and a half ahead of the Clippers, Nuggets, Warriors, and Grizzlies. The Mavericks, they lose a little bit of ground. They got to still watch out here. If they fall the rest of the way, the Suns could still catch them. Improbable, but possible. Doubted, though, since the Suns have lost 7 games in a row. Their chances have dwindled. Now, across the NBA elsewhere, right now in Golden State, a team that is vying for that playoff seeding, too. That third spot is up there. They are tied with the Spurs, 109-109. And, of course, a victory for Golden State not only helps them in the seeding, does help Portland in that race for 8th. If the Spurs can go the rest of the way, maybe win a game here, that's what you want to do. So you want to watch this game. Golden State wants to win it, but Portland wants Spurs fans to win it. So you got to pay attention. But they're tied 109-109 with 32 seconds left in the game. So keep an eye there. In Denver, the Nuggets are up 113-106 in the post-Mike Malone era. That is over the Kings. Nikola Jokic, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. Zach LaVine has 25 and 10 for the Kings. 2 minutes left in that game. 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Rockets 103, the Clippers 117. James Harden has 28 points and 8 assists. Final scores from around the league. Orlando, really? You want to talk about a team that has said, hey, we locked this in. This one is shocking if you haven't paid attention and you see it. First off, nobody of importance started. Let's just put that out there, okay? But Orlando grabbed a 96-76 victory over Boston.
Is this the 90s?
Over Boston.
Wow.
Starting lineup for Boston.
Like Boston must have hit what, 6 3-pointers?
They hit 7, Brenden.
Okay, I was spot on.
They were 7-40, but nobody of importance played in this game for Boston. Baylor Shearman, Torrey Craig, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, and Peyton Pritchard were your starters.
Wow.
Xavier
Okay,
Tillman,
it was a
Miles
shutdown night
Norris.
for Boston.
Yeah. Xavier Tillman, Miles Norris, Drew Peterson, Quita Davis, and Walsh were your players off the bench. So, yeah, they let everyone just rest and mail this one in. But 76 points in 2025, that is pretty wild. Always good, though, to see Peyton Pritchard go out there, get himself a double-double, 15 points, 10 assists. In Philadelphia, the battle of the bad teams, 76ers grab a 122-103 win over the Wizards. The Raptors, 126-96, and another battle of bad teams over the Hornets. And again, we got the LA game. We mentioned that one already. The Bulls, 119. The Heat, 111. Tyler Hero had 30 points. Josh Giddey, 28, 16, and 11 for the Bulls. The Thunder, 125. The Suns, 112. Devin Booker, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 14 assists. Jalen Williams, 33 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists for Oklahoma City. And then, of course, the final score in Utah, the Jazz, 133. Your Portland Trailblazers, 126. If you want to join the conversation with me, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and get in on the chat there. But that's your rundown of the scores. So what's your impact? How are things looking? Well, it is very interesting out west right now. Like I said, Boston, they just mailed it in. I mean, Boston is the second best team in the Eastern Conference. They cannot catch the Cavaliers, and the Knicks cannot catch them. They are locked into second, so they just said, okay, we're going to rest a little bit. We're going to get ready for the playoffs. And, again, that's not tanking. I don't mind it. You're not tanking, and you're not playing the odds game. You're not messing around with it. You're fully locked in. You cannot move. Win or lose, this is where you are. So they just went ahead and rested. Makes sense to me. Then you got the Knicks, third place team. The Pacers are fourth, so there's still a little bit of moving that could go on there. The Bucks are fifth, 18 back overall. 3 games separate them and the Pacers. And then you got the Pistons, Magic, Hawks, play-in teams, Bulls, Heat, Raptors, and the Nets. So that's how things are looking out east right now. In the West, though, things are crazy because look at this. You got the Knicks are 13 back. 2 games separate them and the fourth place Pacers, right? You got to go down to the 8th place Hawks, who are 26 games back. That's a 13-game difference between third place and 8th place. Not so much in the Western Conference right now. In the Western Conference, Thunder are number 1. The Rockets are locked in right now at number 2. And then you got the Lakers at 16.5 back at number 3. And then there is just a 2.5 game gap between them and the number 8 Timberwolves. So there could be a lot of moving and shaking still to go on the rest of the way. And, of course, you got what happens in Denver right now. That game we were saying there was only a few seconds left. There's a minute left now in the fourth. They're up on the Sacramento, so watch how that one plays out, right? San Antonio ended up getting the win over the Warriors.
Woo!
Woo, there we go. There's an instant update for you. They got the win over the Warriors. So things are moving around, shaking up everything just a little bit right now. So, yeah, like this is what this time of year is about, guys. This is because we sat there and we just did the full rundown of all the scores right now, gave you the live updates. And then some of those games went final and the time it was taking us to read those. And now you're looking at games that are like, oh, here we go. Now things are getting interesting. Looking how games are shaking out. So right now that you got LA, Denver, you got Golden State. They're all 18.5 back. The Lakers are at 17. Like things are starting to shake out, man. That Spurs one, though, that's kind of nice if you're a Blazer fan, right? It's going to make that game that you that you beat them earlier, though. It's going to make that one hurt just a little bit more because you could have took that L and everything would have been a lot nicer. But that's a final from Golden State there. So who saw that one coming? That's a game that the Warriors wanted. That's a game the Warriors wanted, and the Nuggets are pulling away with a minute left. They're up by 11. So you got to watch all these things, man, because as we said, that 2 games separating those teams that are in 3rd and 8th, like there's still a chance that something happens and the Nuggets are 3rd and the Lakers fall to 6th and the Warriors are 8th because the Grizzlies moved up. Like this is wild. 2 games left in the season and nothing is settled out west right now. You know who your teams are. You still got the Suns like hanging on to a sliver of hope, a sunset of hope that they can get into the play-in. But you basically have your team set, but you have no idea what the seeding will be.
The Spurs win tonight, Chris, really, because I was looking at it and like pretty much to your point, like if they had won tonight, I think it was mathematically impossible. But now it's Possibly, like I would be curious to ask you, like if they end up with the same record, who wins that? Is it a pure tie in terms of lottery odds? Because each team has 2 games left, and I think the Spurs now are just 1 game back of the Blazers. So it's going to be a photo finish from that respect. Absolutely.
In terms of lottery, if they tie in the lottery standings, they split the ping pong balls.
Better,
So,
like, is that better than being tied, you think, or would you rather just have your own odds?
No. The way that works out, it still works out for you, but you basically
Okay.
split those odds up a little bit, and then like you still get the same amount there is what it is, but then like the tie goes to the team that won the race. Like it gets a little convoluted, but it doesn't
Sure.
hurt you. The tie is what it is. Like it might be a little bit better to just have the ninth odds, but you have to break down those numbers, but it's still something worth watching, my friend. Definitely still something worth watching. It is crazy though that they grabbed that win. It throws everything off for us all of a sudden. We're like, what? What's going on? Now as Han says, and this is not what we want. Could you imagine though? Can you imagine the Spurs lucking in the Spurs get the number 1 pick? And they
No,
get Cooper
just
Flag,
no,
or even
man.
a top 4 pick. Like, oh my gosh.
It would be a fun exercise, Chris, to truly go through and see which teams, quote, deserve someone like Cooper Flag. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say 2 years ago when you landed, at the time, the most generational prospect since who? I mean, Wemby was, bigger than Zion in that regard. And yeah, I think it's safe to say, Chris, that most of the NBA is like, yeah, the Spurs, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. But there's that would be quite nuts if that's how it truly ended up to be.
Yeah. So what it is, Brenden, is if 2 teams are tied. So like right now, if San Antonio was 8 and Portland was just behind them in what would be the 9 spot, you take the odds of the 8s that the 8 would have had, you take the odds that the 9 would have had, you combine them, and then you split them. So the team that, theoretically it would be better to end in the 8 than the 9. If you're the 9, it being tied will help you out a little bit. But that's how that works. And then there is an odd number of balls. One of them gets that extra combination. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So again, that you take what their two odds would be. So if it was a 6% chance and a 4% chance, you would combine all those odds. So then you would each get a 5% chance if you were tied. That's how the tie works out in the lottery.
Yeah, that makes more sense because I was curious kind of how that all broke down. And then just looking at it again, Chris, as you mentioned, Phoenix, just my last point, that pick goes to Houston. Could we imagine if like Houston, who, again, not the top team in the West, but one of the better teams in the West, lands a great pick out of this draft. So that's one of the more fascinating things to me, Chris, is when, 2-3 years later, you're like, oh, yeah, remember that first round pick? So-and-so traded away. They're a playoff team and could get a lottery pick. Like, that's something I'm going to be looking for very much in this as well.
I don't know what you mean, though, when you say not one of the best teams. They're second in the West, my friend.
Okay.
I thought they were third
in
the West. They are pretty good.
Okay, so yeah, I thought they were third. But no, yeah, I mean, the ability for these teams to just get richer, crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So first-round picks, man.
It is wild. Now, as Han says in the chat, it says the lottery system is just so broken. You should never reward tanking. And Han, I don't know how you fix it, but preach, man. Like I'm 100% with you. I do not like tanking in any way, shape, or form. Like I just don't, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, I kind of like the new hockey lottery that they've redone a little bit, where it's like you can't win the number 1 pick like 2 years in a row or some weird stuff. You can't jump more than 10 spots. So if you end at 12, you cannot get up to number 1. Like there's little things there that help you out. Like heck, the NBA has an in-season tournament. They just might as well start doing hey, if you didn't make the actual postseason, you make the NBA's version of like the NIT, like
the non-invited tournament, but NBA style. I mean, Chris, that almost reminds me of, it didn't happen, but do you remember the quote losers bubble that they were going to have in addition to the real bubble? They're like, oh, well, the teams who didn't get invited to the real bubble, we'll maybe do something in Chicago. Yeah, no, never happened. So, I mean, that would be pretty entertaining, though.
It would be pretty funny. But yeah, I obviously don't know how you fix it, Han, but there's nobody here who likes it, man. It is wild. Definitely needs to change somewhere along the line. I do not like the idea of these teams losing on purpose. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. and unlike him at the end of that, I'm never going to like it. I don't like taking. Also, Gaming and Skillard, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. It's all right today. It's a little messy, but you know what? We're getting through it. He complimented my man bun. For those of you like, what he's talking about. That's
Heck
right.
yeah.
Things you can only see on YouTube, behind the scenes. That's why we're on YouTube, though. So what happens when you put a face for radio on TV and people pay attention to my hair instead. It's pretty wild. All right, this is the fifth quarter. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, go to youtube.com with all my favorite little chatters over there and get in on the chat as well. We're going to take a quick little break, though. When we come back, we're going to head down to the coach's corner, hear what Coach Billups had to say following this game. I hand out a game ball, talk about the game some more, and then look at what's ahead. 2 games remaining on your Trailblazers schedule. Once again, this is the fifth quarter, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Blazers go into Utah and they fall to the Jazz 133 to 126. What did Coach Billups have to say after it? Let's find out. It's time for the Coach's Corner.
For the latest on tonight's game, we head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
Game, as I just told our guys, shoot, so many guys play well. You're looking at Shaden, career high. Roos comes in, big time game, career high. But to win close games in this league, you have to make free throws. You got to take care of basketball. And that's been a thing for us pretty much all year, but you got to be able to make free throws and you got to be able to take care of basketball. In the fourth quarter, the last 5-6 minutes of the game, that's when everything kind of counts. And we failed to do that tonight. I thought it was just a good teachable moment for us all, But, we played hard. We gave it all we had. Keontae George hit a couple big shots, some really huge shots. And they got away from us.
Which were very well defended as well.
But you
just got hot. You said that was kind of your message to the guys, things that you can learn from a game like that. Is it nice at this point of the season to be able to say, okay, we didn't get the win, but loved it, but at least we can learn and take things away from this like that?
Well, sure, sometimes you watch it and learn it. Obviously our guys feel the gravity of having that game in hand and, kind of coming unraveled at the end. So it's a good time to talk about it right away, and we did. I'm proud of the effort of the guys that played, but to win close games, you got to do the small things.
Shaden with a career high. It started off fast and furious, which you guys have talked about. He wants to be aggressive early and often. What did you see from him tonight?
Yeah, he was just that. He was aggressive the entire time. You look down at the stat sheet and you see a career high. Thought he did a really good job of kind of controlling the game for the most part, but he goes 5 for 10 from the free throw line, and that's tough. He should have had over 40 points. He played that good in the game today, so but he was excellent. He really was.
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter.
While Shaden Sharp is the favorite in the clubhouse, sometimes the guy who has lesser odds to win it comes back and wins. That's why I'm giving the game ball tonight to Ryan Rupert, a career-high 19 points for the young forward, 34 minutes. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Yes, Shaden Sharp had a better statistical night, but you know what? We've seen a couple career nights from him. This one was also great. He could have had 40. That would have been awesome. But you got to give some other guys some credit. Massive shout out to Ryan Rupert for having a pretty darn good night. All right, let's have an update. Before we get out of here, it's update time. So all the scores around the league are final tonight. Magic won, 76ers won. You all know that. The games that were still in process as we were breaking down the scores. The Spurs grabbed the 114-111 win over the Warriors. The Nuggets 124-116 over the Kings. And you did have the Thunder take a 125-112 victory over the Suns. So we have some updates for you across the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns now officially eliminated from the playoffs. They cannot catch Sacramento or Dallas. It is donezo for them. So that's a disappointment for that team to sit there and have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and, the shell of Bradley Beal and to not put it together. That's unfortunate. Also, you sit there and they want to try to blame it on Yusuf Nurkic, so they knock him out of town. Granted, he's not what he used to be. I feel bad for him because I feel like his career, understandably, everything changed that night that his leg broke in Portland. Everything changed. And that's unfortunate because he's on a pretty good trajectory. I still like Nurk. Hope for the best. Phoenix tried to make him a scapegoat. Wasn't all his fault. They are eliminated. But now you're looking at top 3 teams in the West as they stand right now: Oklahoma City, Houston, and Los Angeles. Los Angeles at 17 games back has a game lead over the Denver Nuggets at 18 back. The Clippers and Grizzlies are 18.5 back. And with the loss to the Spurs, Golden State loses a little bit of ground. They are 2 back from LA, and Minnesota is 2.5 back there in the 8th spot. So it's crazy because those teams are all they're going to give it their all for the rest of the schedule because, I mean, there is a difference. I mean, the Clippers could go from the 5th seed to having to do a play-in, and nobody wants to do the play-in. Like, if you can avoid the play-in, you will avoid the play-in, right? But that's where things do get interesting because, as we said, a quick look at the standings once again. You got Memphis at 6, Minnesota at 8. A game separates them. They're only 2.5 back and 1.5 back from the Lakers. Well, the next game on the schedule for Minnesota is at Memphis. So some ground is going to be shifted there. That's going to matter for those teams. 3 games left for Minnesota. Golden State has at Portland, and then they wrap up the season on Sunday against the Clippers, a team that is currently a whole half game ahead of them. So all these, I mean, you look at how these games are going to play out the rest of the way. I mean, these games are going to matter, and they're going to drastically change how the seeding is out west, no matter how you look at it. The Clippers, as we said, they have a game against Golden State, but they also have a game on Friday against Sacramento. And Sacramento, they want to win that game. Granted, they can't get up to 8th, but that's the difference between 9th and 10th, which is a home game in that first play-in game. That matters, right? So everything on the line down the stretch, these teams all have something to play for. And interestingly enough, Denver as well. Denver has 2 games left. Their game on Friday, Memphis. So, I mean, it's pretty wild. Memphis is sitting there right now in a good spot. They are the 6th seed. They're a game and a half back, but 2 of their final 3 games are Minnesota and Denver. And then, of course, they also have Dallas on their schedule. Well, where's Dallas? Right there with Sacramento vying for that 9 seed, which would get them the home court in that first game. So there's a lot on the line for every single one of the teams left. How it shakes out, your guess is as good as mine. Like, this is crazy. Like Eric Weldon says, it's time to play spoiler. Absolutely. Why not? Let's spoil a season or 2. It'd be fun. Or just take a couple extra L's and help yourself out in the tankathon, Eric Weldon, because that wouldn't be too bad either. You would take that. You would enjoy that. Right now, because Phoenix lost as well, Phoenix and Portland are tied for 9th. San Antonio is at 8th, a 2-game gap between them. Portland could very well lose their next 2 games. Quite honestly, so could Phoenix. San Antonio, on the other hand, they got a quick look, tells me who they have. Why you giving me old games? The schedule is messing with me, man. I don't care about college scores. What are you doing? Give it to me real. Don't mess with me. San Antonio, my friends. Phoenix and Toronto. So, I mean, one of those teams is going to lose, but one of those teams is going to win, right? The 2 teams you're tied with Phoenix, San Antonio's ahead of you. One of those teams is going to gain ground no matter what. That's a bad spot to be in. And then, of course, that Toronto game might be one where San Antonio wins, but feels like Portland's probably going to get stuck right there in that 9th spot, probably tied for it. We shall see. So much on the line down the stretch. I can't tell you the last time a season played out like this. Someone's going to be like, it was just last year, Burkhardt. Well, you know what? 82 games is a lot, and it messes with you. But, man, it's so cool that we are at game 80, and, like, nothing's decided. We know who our playoff and play-in teams are, but, man, here we are still trying to figure it out. Eric Weldon says, willingly lose to the Warriors and Lakers? I'm sorry. No thanks. I'm not saying willingly. I'm just saying, let's see. Denny Avdia probably won't play. Anthony Simons probably won't play. Tamani Kamara might end up sitting out some games. We shall see. But speaking of the Warriors and the Lakers, next game up for your Trailblazers. Friday against the Warriors. Their first of 2 home games to wrap the season. Tip-off will be at 7, which means I will have game day for you starting at 5 o'clock. But that's going to do it for this one. We're going to get on out of here. It's been a show. It's been awesome. I'm going to go real slow here. It's called giving your producer a runway. Let him work. He has Freebird. He can add a couple extra seconds here. Break right on time because that's what we do.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure with you, Chris.
Oh,
Gonna
yeah.
miss you,
Shout
buddy.
out to Brenden. My final game of the year with the Slaughter. The Butcher and the Slaughter retire until next week or whenever Chad takes vacation. He's like, Burkhardt, Rip City Drive, can you fill in? When Chad calls me and he's like, hey, can you fill in? I'm like the butler in Mr. Deeds. Like, I'm right there.
You're just
Like,
there.
I thought you were at home. You have underestimated my willingness to host for you, sir. like that's where we're at. That's where we're at. But we're gonna have some fun. I'm not going anywhere, Brenden. We're still gonna
Neither am I,
we're still
buddy.
gonna be around. We're gonna be, kicking
Hillsborough
I
hopping
would
it
say
up.
we're gonna be kicking the can down the first baseline. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. I could be center field. Awesome song, by the way. Once again, Blazers go into Utah. They drop one to the Utah Jazz, 133-126. Shaden Sharp, a career-high 37 points. Ryan Rupert, a career-high 19 points as well. Blazers do drop that, though. Sit there tied with Phoenix for 9th in the lottery at this point. Still plenty to play for. 2 games left. The first of those 2 games will be Friday. Tip-off at 7. I will have Blazers game day for you at 5 o'clock. Shout out to everyone. Massive shout out to Brenden. The season has been awesome having you on board in that chair. It's been a fun first season for me getting to host too, but thanks to you as well. Rip City, though, Brenden won't be here, but I will, and we'll talk to you on the next one.